This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Extractioneering, who combine science and craft to create some of the finest legal cannabis concentrates you'll find anywhere. Learn more about all the good stuff they do and create over at extractioneering.com, which is spelled like engineering, but with the word extraction. That's extractioneering.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, September 28th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 339 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Before we jump into the headlines real quick, I just want to make a note of the recent passing of Hugh Hefner, best known for his spot atop the Playboy empire. But a lesser-known fact about Mr. Hefner is that he was instrumental in starting up the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, or NORML, which got started way back in the 70s thanks to some key funding by Hugh and the Playboy Foundation. NORML was the group that I was inspired by when I was a radical student drug reform activist back in the 90s, and when I started the group that turned into Students for Sensible Drug Policy. So, in a way, we can really thank Hugh Hefner for helping get all of this started. No matter what you might think of his politics in the world of sexuality, there's no denying the debt we all owe Hef for his support of sane cannabis and drug policies. All right, let's jump into the news. Our top story of the day is the good news out of Michigan that a solution appears to be on the horizon to the problem of medical marijuana dispensaries being forced to shut down on December 15th while the state works out who to grant licenses to under their newly revised medical marijuana program, as I've reported on in recent weeks. In a bit of full disclosure here, one of our sponsors, the Ohm of Medicine, is a medical marijuana dispensary in Ann Arbor, Michigan, who would be affected by the announced order by state officials that existing medical shops close down in the middle of December. That ordered shutdown would leave tens of thousands of patients without a source for their medicine, which helped spur two state lawmakers to introduce a bill yesterday that allows medical shops to stay open. The legislation introduced by State Senator David Knesset and Representative Yusuf Rabi blocks that ordered shutdown and is said to have bipartisan support in both state legislative chambers. We'll certainly follow this story closely as it evolves. If you live in Michigan, contact your state representative and senator today and let them know that you care about this issue. The city of San Francisco has decided to take a slow approach to allowing for adult use dispensaries to open up within its limits in January, as California's Proposition 64 goes into effect. On Tuesday, the city council met to discuss how it would transition to adult use legalization and made public plans that pushes off the timing for when adult use shops could open, so as to allow the city to work out a program ensuring access and equitable treatment for low-income entrepreneurs and folks with drug crimes on their records. In July, the city commissioned a report by the city controller and Office of Cannabis about equity in the legal marijuana industry, which is expected to be submitted by November 1st. With no hard set deadlines for when the city will work out rules for allowing adult use dispensaries, we'll just have to keep tracking this story as well as things progress. Swing over to the San Francisco Chronicle for the full read. Our final top story of the day has us winding up in Rhode Island, where a state superior court has ruled against a town that sought to impose a more restrictive version of the state's medical marijuana law. Under Rhode Island state law, medical patients are allowed to grow up to 12 cannabis plants each, whereas the town of Smithfield tried to limit them to just 2 plants, while also stipulating that they could only cultivate in their primary residence. In April, the town passed an ordinance with those restrictions and was soon hit with a lawsuit by the state chapter of the ACLU, who contended that the town was breaking state law by doing so. Yesterday, the Rhode Island Superior Court issued a preliminary injunction on those restrictions. The ACLU said they will be reviewing the policies of other towns who may have similar restrictions ripe for takedown. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Extractioneering, makers of the finest of cannabis concentrates and extracts. Learn more about their super sciencey approach to the craft of creating cannabis concentrates by opening up their website at extractioneering.com, which is spelled like engineering, but with the word extraction. That's extractioneering.com. All right, time for the blitz. One of Pennsylvania's licensed medical marijuana businesses is spending $500,000 on a marketing campaign to promote the use of medical cannabis. The company Cresco Yeltra received permission from the state's marijuana regulators to run the ads, which will be plastered on billboards all over the state during the first phase of the operation. Rather than promote any kind of offering by the company itself, the campaign sells the general benefits of medical cannabis using non-threatening and soothing imagery. Open up the Philly Inquirer to see the ads for yourself. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Maine state lawmakers have modified the rules and regulations governing the marijuana adult use program that will open up sometime next year by removing the drive-up and internet sales that I recently reported on. The committee drafting the proposed rules is set to wrap up their work by late October, so the state legislature can vote on the plan as a whole and needs to finish their initial drafts this week if they want to make that deadline. Yesterday, in addition to stripping the ability of customers to buy while in their car or at home, the committee also added in a rule requiring that a person have lived in the state for 2 years before applying for an adult use business license. Existing medical marijuana dispensaries, which are all organized as nonprofits, will be barred from converting to for-profit entities, while towns and local municipalities will be given the freedom to bump up the allowed plant count for home cultivators from 12 to 18. Open up the Portland Press Herald story for all the details on this one. Jumping up north to Canada for a headline, we have an effort underway by marijuana activists to challenge the government's plans for allowing provinces to monopolize the legal adult use industry. This is a story I've reported on a number of times in recent weeks, as the provinces of Ontario and New Brunswick both have announced that they will handle cannabis sales themselves by only allowing for government-run dispensaries. A court case within the nation's Supreme Court that deals with cross-provincial alcohol sales is thought to possibly offer a weak spot in the legal argument allowing for the marijuana monopolies. This is a complicated case and scenario, so I'd suggest opening up CBC News for the full read. Marijuana Business Daily is reporting that the city of Los Angeles continues to work away on plans to smoothly transition to adult use sales in January as Proposition 64 goes into effect. I reported on this story earlier this week, as currently the city's plans don't offer a quick way for existing medical marijuana cultivators to easily get licensed by the city, something that's necessary to get a state license. To their credit, though, LA City Council President Herb Wesson said that he and other city officials are aware of the fixes they need to make, and according to Marijuana Business Daily, negotiations between the city and industry stakeholders are underway. This is another complicated story that might be worth the click over. Dope Magazine has a comprehensive rundown of the transition being made by the state of Nevada from the seed-to-sale tracking system developed by MJ Freeway, which was hit earlier this year with a number of data-related outages, to a new system called Metrc. The move was a little surprising given that it was made not even a year into a contract between Nevada and MJ Freeway set to last 5 years, but maybe not so much given the extent of MJ Freeway's earlier outage, which knocked hundreds of dispensaries offline across the country, some for a number of weeks. MJ Freeway also saw copies of its legacy code posted on Reddit, where it sat for a number of days before being taken down. The new contract for Metrc is worth a total of $816,000 spread out over 4 years. Coming back to Rhode Island for a headline, we have the state announcing the composition of the 19-member committee tasked with making a recommendation on legalizing adult use marijuana. The committee has until March 1st to submit their findings and was chosen by the state's General Assembly. Swing over to the Providence Journal to see the full list of all those chosen. And finally for today, the Associated Press wrote a good story looking at the unique cannabis gifting culture that's sprung up in the city of Washington, D.C., as a number of businesses now offer deals where you can buy something like a cheap t-shirt for $45 that just so happens to come with a free gram of cannabis. It's the same concept as the juice company that will deliver a $50 bottle of apple juice to your door that also comes with some free cannabis. So far, it sounds like police and city officials are mostly turning a blind eye to the system-wide sham transactions. This is certainly an interesting space in time. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Extractioneering, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.